Hey everybody, this is Drum Machine Vibes, episode 4. I go by Even Though.
I go by the name of Byron G.
And we are producers and engineers for Hellhound Publishing. And today we have a special guest with us, a fellow producer and beat smith, Trip Seat. So why don't we bring him on in?
What's going on, Trip Seat?
What's good, my dude?
No, fellas, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Big fan. Long time
Yes.
listener, first time caller.
Yes, and you're our first guest, man.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's only right that we keep it Hellhound.
Damn right.
Yeah.
You know,
Sure.
repping the swag. As you can see,
Looking good, man. Looking good.
I see you. We were saying that we would just pretty much get into the sort of questions that we were going
Right
through
on.
for ourselves on episode 0. So basically, when did you get into beat making? Like, what influenced you? What was your first software? Start anywhere you'd like.
No, I'll bring you like all the way back. So
Sure.
my first like foray into music, right, was when I was I think I was 10 or 11, and it was in a music class. Well, no, I mean, did the recorder or whatever in like grade school, but that was like hot cross buns, like super shrill and exactly. But when I really started like trying to learn and play music was probably when I was I think I was 11. And the school I was in at the time offered, like, you could take instruments, like, outside of class as sort of like a extra credit sort of thing. And, of course, I picked the drums.
Oh, yeah.
There you go, bro.
Instead of learning, something useful with melody and, like, harmony and, like, songwriting capacity, no, I'm like, to hell with that, I'm playing the drums. Everyone plays guitar, I'm playing drums.
Yeah. Byron, did they do that at your school?
Yeah, dude. I didn't get into like any of that stuff until much later, though, because I as well played the recorder, and I was kind of like the shy kid with the triangle in the back.
Oh yeah,
Right
or the crash cymbals.
Yeah, exactly.
One every like fucking 16 bars or something.
Yeah, with the one. Ding.
But only reason I asked though is because I didn't like. Now that I'm thinking about it, I had the opportunity to take either drums, strings, or piano. And of course, all the dudes in my grade, they took drums. And my parents were like, no way you're bringing any drums in this house.
Yeah.
So I was in piano. I was like one of the two dudes in piano. And
I think one of the smartest decisions my mom made was getting an electric drum kit.
ooh, there you go. There you go.
So I could
Much
do it.
quieter.
Here's an
There you
electric
go.
drum kit, and here's some headphones. Go crazy.
Where'd you go from there?
So that was like my first start into music. I grew up on classic rock, right? 92.9 Winnipeg's classic rock in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada.
Okay.
That was the radio.
shit.
That was the radio station that my dad had on in the car, and the one I fell in love with. Like AC/DC, Metallica, Judas Priest. You guys might not know them, but the Tragically Hip, they're Canadian heroes. And
What about Rush, bro?
Oh, of Rush, of course.
Yeah,
But,
I'd be forgetting you're Canadian, man.
yeah.
Don't hear it in your voice or beats at all.
Well, that's the. I guess the kicker is I've been outside of Canada longer than I've
That's
been
what I
in
was
it
going to ask
now.
you.
At this point,
Yeah.
before I started music, really, I left when I was like 9 or 10.
Okay.
With my mom was an expat, so she moved around for business.
Okay.
And when I was 9, the two of us moved to Tokyo, Japan.
Oh,
shit.
snap.
Wow.
Yeah,
Did not know
so
that.
that's
How
where
are we
I
just?
started. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was there for like 2.5 years, and that's where I started playing the drums and like playing music. I had this awesome like Japanese teacher. So after that, right, I wanted to be badass and play the drums because everyone played guitar. That was my whole reasoning behind I'm gonna play the drums instead.
Right. Hold on.
Oh yeah.
So is your reasoning you just want to be different, or you want to be more of like an asset because like they're gonna need drummers?
At the time, I wanted to be different, but I think there may have been part of it thinking like, oh, I could be an asset because we're oversaturated in this market.
Right.
I was 10, so I'm not thinking about.
Oh, you were 10 at the time.
Ups and downs. Like, I was like,
I lost track of the timeline because we were talking about Japan and all that. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was only in Japan for like a couple of years, and when I was really young, but it was such an incredible experience. After that, we moved to Boston, and when I was here, this is where I started taking guitar, because I realized quickly I love playing the drums, and rhythm is my thing. But I wanted to be able to write songs.
Okay.
I needed a creative outlet, and I needed melody, harmony, and rhythm. I needed the three. I only had one at the time. So I started taking guitar lessons for probably 2 or 3 years, like a good amount of time. But my whole upbringing comes from like classic rock, and I would find things like electronic things and hip hop kind of on the side. It wasn't really part of where I'm from. The middle. Think of the smallest town you can, and then divide it in half, and then you have Lactabani, Manitoba, Canada.
Damn.
And that's where I was
Wow.
from. I don't mean to disparage the place, because I love it, and it has its own culture, but you're not going to be exposed to a lot,
Right.
You know, other than what's
Right.
there. The little exposure I did get, like I remember viscerally having a copy of Gorillaz Demon
Hell
Days
yeah. Classic.
on CD. So the Gorillaz are one of my biggest influences. I love them so much. I got the opportunity to see them live on the Plastic Beach tour. It was really cool.
That's one thing that they definitely are, man. The Gorillaz, they're like totally in their own space, I feel like. You know? But when they have like outsiders like Dell or someone come in, it sounds so cohesive that it's
so
one of
cool.
a kind shit.
What aspects of the Gorillaz do you feel like you have in your production or inspired by?
So one of the biggest things that they inspire me to, and something I really try to incorporate into a lot of my music, is their unafraid originality. And it's the they're not afraid to be different, and that's
one of your greatest qualities, dude.
Just try and
seriously.
I try to get weird with it, because I was going to say too, one of my big inspirations as I was coming up, like experiencing more music, was like Tool and all these different, and of course playing drums. I'm all into rhythm and time signatures, and just like I turn music into math, and just like, oh, 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4, like just like it's like now we're like, or something like counting, and just
and then you hit me with that 6, and I'm like, you got me again. Every time, man.
Right? So it was actually, I need to credit one of my friends at high school who got me into producing, like electronic sort of like production, right? Because I was all into rock and roll and drums, guitar, playing live sort of music, like electronic stuff. Man, it's so stupid. Computers are dumb, man. But
now look at us.
Then exactly, right? I was about to say, it's like, oh, if only past me could see current me. We formed a band in lunch times during our like during lunch break during school year. We put an album together, released it through like DistroKid or whatever, and just threw it on Spotify. He's the one that sort of like showed me like techno and got me into like electronic production. I started messing around with GarageBand because it was on my laptop
for free, baby.
Exactly. That graduated into Logic because I wanted to be able to do that. I wanted to be able to do more, so I was messing around with Logic. Like at this point, going through high school, music was it was like one of the biggest parts of my life. It's what I wanted to do, right? It was, I love music.
Right.
So I really started practicing and honing my craft on guitar and drums and like songwriting. And I got accepted to Berklee College of Music in Boston, which was fortunately local, but also like top of the line. And dope.
What did you study there?
So while I was there, I was gonna say, so when I auditioned on drum set, because I knew the guitar program was like so competitive, and I wasn't gonna be able to compete with these guys that could shred and like that's not what I do. But I think what won them over is I was able to play the drums like pretty mean at the time, and I played them a song that I wrote in a bunch of weird time signatures on guitar too. So like I think that combination, I don't think I would have been able to get in if I wasn't able to flex my like harmony and like songwriting potential.
Right.
I studied, for the most part, it was performance on drum set. So I took that's where I learned all my different, like, all these Afro-Cuban rhythms and, like, Middle Eastern rhythms and all the shit you hear me talk about. Right at the end, I switched my major from performance to, they called it professional music, which is just your kind of, like, catch-all major. Yeah. It is, like, it can be a little bit of a cop-out if you let it, but I used it to further my production chops, because when you're performance, they don't really want, you don't need to care, or they don't want you taking like engineering and production mixing classes, because that's, you're not going to worry about that.
Somebody else is going to do all that.
Became exactly. This is a critical moment when Native Instruments Machine came into my life. Yeah. And just because I was a drummer, right? And now I can get tactile with not only drums, but laying out samples and melodic stabs and stuff over the pads. I can now, like, my rhythm talents, because there's a class at Berklee called ear training, where you need to, like, you like imagine, like, shut your eyes, like, boo, 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 and it's like, oh, that's a, like, G sharp, B flat, D sharp. Or it's like, you got to be able to do that shit. I was horse shit at anything to do with melody. I mean, I could tell you if it was a minor chord or a major chord, but, like, if they're, like, doing, like, a melody thing, I was terrible at it. Oh, rhythms? It's like, oh, that's 15/8, or, like some weird shit. Like,
wow.
Anyway, this is a long way of saying I couldn't really do, like, melody and harmony, so I could chop up these samples, put them on machine, and then, like, play them in and play them back to make their own thing. Yeah. And this is when I started doing a lot of, like, boom bap, just because literally the machine lent itself to this sort of just boom bappy, like, drum machine type bops, right? From that, I also started messing around with it, doing some dance stuff, like, started, like, mixing hip hop boom bap that would, like, I made some songs that were like 5 minutes long, and in the middle would turn into like a dance sort of beat and like fade back into the hip hop thing, right? It was like I was like trying to be different, trying to do something that I wasn't hearing at the time, I guess. Then I was able to go and do the like through Berklee. Still, I was able to. I graduated, and I was able to go and apply and got accepted for their master's program in Spain, in Valencia.
Oh shit!
And this is where everything changed.
Yeah, that's exciting.
This is where I'm introduced to Ableton, and now I am a prophet and holy preacher of the Church of Ableton. Nice. It's all gray. Everything's gray and mechanical and off-putting, but everything under the surface is so beautiful. So that was a game changer, and ever since then I've been messing around with Ableton, getting into like turning my love of hip hop and trance dance music into basically like festival trap, like kind of the happy medium of sort of like hip hop beats but up tempo, so it gets you dancing.
Right. Yeah.
And you can hear that like through a lot of my stuff.
Yeah.
I actually have a bunch of samples that I need to still do something with. Going out, I have a little Tascam recorder, just getting like different samples of weird things, and like
track 1 on Carnivore, y'all.
And Carnivore, the title track, the bass. I keep saying it, but the bass is made with one of my cats meow that I was able to capture, and I threw it into a wavetable synth, like Ableton's built-in wavetable with like the newer editions. And there's like an LFO oscillating through the wavetable, and that's how you get the like meow 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 meow, like.
Yeah.
So I get
the lengths that you went to create this soundscape of Carnivore are very impressive, and I'd like to hear more about that. Could you tell us a little bit more about the things that you did on Carnivore?
Yeah, absolutely. they're songs, but they're also kind of interludes, like the first song before introduction, which I find both funny and ironic that introduction is song 2. But the first song was just recordings of like a cafe or like a street, and then I layered in something that I did is I put my Tascam in between 2 pot lids, but they were different sizes. So I moved them so that they would rock back and forth, but they would start rocking out of phase, right? So it's like wow, 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 wow. So that that wasn't even an effect. That was just like the natural audio of these pot lids like moving naturally out of phase. So just finding it, it's almost like a sonic collage kind of finding weird, interesting. I mean, that's what sampling is too. But I'm capturing my own samples and doing weird samples, and not just not like a drum loop or something.
There's so many different approaches that you could take that, you know what I mean? It really doesn't even matter anymore. It's whatever drives your inspiration to create. So
no, 100%.
As long as you're not taking a million loops and just putting them together, you know what I mean? But even that, whatever.
Byron, have you ever used Foley or real life type recordings to make a beat? In a beat?
Yeah, I've definitely just stuff straight recorded off of my phone. I'm not saying it was the greatest, but I definitely have. It's something I want to do a little bit more. I think moving forward is kind of doing more sound design off of just like, this cup.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just little things like that.
It's just so much fun too. Like trying to dig in, like turning.
Sharpens your skills, when it comes to just like what plugins do and attacks and delays and decays and all that stuff. I feel like you'll definitely pick that stuff up quicker if you're trying to make something out of nothing.
Like sound design is something I've done. So like I can appreciate the level of like sound effects that do go into a beat on Carnivora or some of the other shit that I've heard from you outside of that, because there is a lot of layering, I imagine.
One of my favorite things is building my drums, because I started out as a drummer, like I was saying at the start of everything. But one of the best lessons I ever got from one of my teachers teaching me Ableton was about layering drums and making your own drum kits by layering them, right?
Yeah.
So take your sample packs, and then what it'll do is like I'll almost put 3 samples on each drum, right? So I like to break it down into there's like the sub. Imagine we're doing a kick, right? Yeah. Find a sample and you really like the boom, the rumble, the sub of it, right? Take that, filter out all of the highs and roll off the attack a little bit so it kind of comes in just a little bit later. Then get the room or the body of the drum, like something sort of in the mid-range, say you have for this I'll typically use like an acoustic kick drum if I'm doing a kick
with a little crunch.
And then it really sort of like band pass it and like roll off the highs and the lows, because you don't want to muddy up the sub that you have, right?
Yeah.
Then the last piece is the kick or what is it, like the transient, the click, right? And for this, often I'll actually use a bongo slap, right? So something really high end, and honestly, you're just using like milliseconds of this, and you're just getting like the click, like the snap, to be the transient, and then you mess with the parameters and then put them all in a group. You can put them in a compressor or just mix them so that they sound cohesive, and like you can tune them and downsample them. But then using those 3 elements to create your kick drum, and then do the same thing for a snare. Hi-hats, I might use like 2. I like to use like weird things, or I'll use like a drum machine hi-hat, like an 808, and mix in like some animal noise. It's like a catch-all. It's just like, oh, fucking put an animal noise in.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's if you're working for Trip Seat. But that's my method for drum design. Is like I try to put like 3 in the main ones, like the kick and the snare. I try to put at least 3 different samples to design that.
Damn, dude, dropping some gems on us right now.
Yeah,
no, for real,
that's a lot of sauce.
Mess around with that. Ableton makes it real easy, but every single doc.
Because I have plugins that do that, but I feel like it'd be way more unique and just fun to just create, like, experiment with different sounds, I guess, you know, all with their own separate space on the spectrum, from here to here, you know, just in the low end, and creating a space for each and every one of them. I think that's pretty dope.
Yeah. So Byron, I'd like to hear a little bit about the way you layer your drums, but before we do that, we should probably get into an ad break.
Yes.
What do you say?
Right, yeah.
When we get back from the ad break, that will contain music from Trip Seat's Carnivora, we'll be talking about how Byron G layers his drums, and I'll get into how I layer my drums, and we'll talk to Trip Seat a little bit more about his musical journey. Hey everybody, I go by Even Though. Just want to take a break from Drum Machine Vibes to let you know about the album that I produced that was released on Hellhound Publishing. It's called Solstitial. It is a typo. I know it's not a real word, but it's a very cool, kind of lo-fi album. And this is one of the beats from it. At the end of 2022, Trip Seat put out a phenomenal album called Carnivora. It's unlike anything you've ever heard. Until now. No. Until now. You're hearing it now. That boy crazy. Anyways. And now back to Drum Machine Vibes with myself, Even Though, and Byron G. Welcome back to Drum Machine Vibes, episode 4, brought to you by Hellhound Publishing. I am Even Though.
I go by the name of Byron G.
And we got our guest Trip Seat in the house. Trip Seat,
hello,
how you
hello,
doing, my guy?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having me, fellas. Thank you for having me.
All right. So before the break, we were talking about layering drums. Byron, what sort of techniques and methods and styles do you employ in your drums?
Dude, I'm heavy-handed a little bit sometimes on the compression. I do EQ.
Okay.
I usually do EQ like all of my every drum.
EQ everything.
Yeah.
EQ everything.
That's like the first plug on and everything.
Yeah.
If I layer, I usually I'll take the same kick and I'll layer that and just use different velocities. So what I've been doing a lot recently is I'll take I've just been creating ghost notes. So I'll take 1, 2, maybe 3, and depending on how close they are, I'll literally just turn the velocity down to like 70 while the other one's hitting at 100. Or like I'll have 50, 70, 100. You know what I mean?
Are you playing these at the same time or like in a pattern to like do like?
I play both. So like I'll do like a like a doo-doo. I'll have the first one hit at a way lower velocity, or if I layer them, I'll just do the same thing. I don't go too crazy. I just kind of keep it clean and keep it moving, I guess.
What about modulation or anything on drums?
Depends. Sometimes I'll fucking cut that out. Sometimes I'll use a phaser of some sort. Every single, whether it's like a 2-bar loop or a 4-bar loop with my hats, I'll go through those, and as I'm playing them, I try and change the velocity with the pads. I'll go back through and change every single one. Like I said, I don't layer a ton, But if I'm a velocity man. I love messing with just the different velocities of each piece of the drum or instrument.
Yeah,
it's crazy how lifelike just velocity can make it feel. Like it makes it so not.
That's what I was gonna say.
It makes it so less robotic.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden you're not a drum
1000%.
machine. It like that's what makes it sound like a drummer is really the velocity.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like, for the most part,
the control over making it sound robotic when you want to, or making it sound human when you want to, is a retroactive luxury that a physical drummer doesn't have. It's like they might like work their whole life to play like like 90 fucking hits per minute or something. I don't know what the fuck what's fast. I don't know, but but it'll never replicate the exact same velocity every time. It'll still be humanized. Sure.
And you could be, quantized to the 16th exactly on the grid, but as long as you change the velocities up, it won't sound like the, you know what I mean? What about you, even though? What's
your drum method?
Much like Trip, I put multiple sounds for each aspect, depending on like the depth of the beat. If it's a more minimal one, I'll still have like 2 to 3 sounds on the 2 and 4. I have my snares, snaps, claps, and like what I call southern snares, all separated out. And we all know what a southern snare is. So to get those different sounds, I'll give each sound a buddy. So snaps snaps and claps, they make good buddies because they're both made with human flesh, So that sounded weird, but but on the other weirder side, all other drums are made with animal flesh, so whatever. So percussion is just flesh, people.
Oh my god, can we make that a shirt? Percussion
is flesh, comma, people. So
that's the new Trip Seat merch line right there. Your first shirt.
So when it comes to like the kick and whatnot, I really relate to what Trip was saying about the different, I guess, sounds that an actual kick drum would make, and then like the sounds of like a subwoofer or the crunch or the stomp, as I like to put it, because there's definitely a lot of aspects to kicks, especially in hip hop. So, like when you think of someone like Swiss Beats or Just Blaze or Kanye, they have used a lot of crunchy sounds on their kicks, and it's never just the crunch, because that's not a kick. You know what I mean? It needs to have that oomph, that punch that comes up. Yeah. So for that, I have this little category called like short 808s. They're like they're a sub, but it's really gated, so it's short.
So it's just a quick like bang, like a quick like
shot
exactly to the hell yeah.
Yeah, and some of those have a little high end to them. Some of them have a little like dance to them. The decay is a little longer. But when it comes to doing something like the hi-hat, that's where it's like a fucking free-for-all, man. I'll take maybe like a verbal phrase that's in my head, like that a rapper would say, and kind of turn that into the hi-hat.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Like, so if I hear the way a dude rides the beat, especially like Royce or Aesop or somebody who's like hella lyrical and then flows on top of it, it'll be like just another one, or like if it's 4 bars, it's like just another one for the homies.
Hell yeah.
That those aren't lyrics of theirs, but I'm just freestyling.
No, I know, but I like make it sing. Like, no, that's smart. That's awesome. Like, hell yeah.
Yeah. So especially when you get like congas involved. So percussions, dude, like tambourine. I love to do like a really low sounding tambourine and layer that in with a snare. Okay. Like take a single tambourine.
Yeah, hit. You definitely do that on like the 2 or the 4, like you said.
Yeah, or one or both. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
one of the other.
Or I'll do it on the 1 sometimes instead of a crash. Just have or layered with a crash, because it just adds that sort of like cavernous feel, because it's like slowed down and it's just chunky now. You know what I mean? Instead of all tiny.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I really like using like chants or like a vocal a cappella. You know what I mean? Like somebody just holding out a note and just like sort of like stretch that into like a choir or like pitch it up on some like Just Blaze Alchemist. You know, like you know. Who was your producer that made you want to get into it?
So I would say the first one that probably got me into things would be Danger Mouse, because he also produced Gorilla's Demon Days. That's album that I had, that I remember having on fucking CD back in Canada. Madlib is probably the biggest influence on my production.
That's dope, dude. That's a dope duo.
Well, since we got you here, Trip, why don't we talk a little more about what you might have coming up next after Carnivore?
So, of course, the next big thing is the Hellhound Dance Party, which, Byron, you're going to be opening. You got some dancey stuff.
Oh yeah,
you gonna make it happen.
You've been working on it.
So we'll talk after a little bit, but
it's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a damn good time.
It'll be fun.
There's no definitive album on the horizon, but there's definitely gonna be more. But yeah, I think just doing more shows. I think.
So we're about to get into a short ad break, and then Trip Seat and Byron G and myself, we will wrap up and talk about some things that we got going on, Hellhound Publishing, and yeah.
What's good, everybody? I go by the name of Byron G, and if you head on over to hellhoundpublishing.com, you're going to be able to check out all the projects that Hellhound has released. Right now, you're listening to the new single called Scary Stories, which is off Meet Me in Gate City by Cody Pope and myself, Byron G. Yeah. Now you're listening to Illest Motherfucker Alive from Deja Solo's debut project, A Kid Named Solo, produced by Byron G. And if you guys are just chilling, maybe trying to get a few bars off, you could throw on Rain Check, which is an instrumental album by myself, Byron G. Now back to Drum Machine vibes.
Welcome back to Drum Machine Vibes, episode 4, brought to you by Hellhound Publishing. I am Even Though.
I am Byron G.
And we got Trip Seat, our special guest in the building.
Hey.
We're about to play a game for our final segment. It's called Name That Song. So rules are simple. Each of us have thought of a song and 3 clues to give each other to try to figure out what it is. We're going to have our special guest, Trip Seat, go first.
This is a song by a former member of the group known as G-Unit.
Okay.
This is a song from that member's, I believe, debut album.
I love this so far.
Now, I'm going to read an excerpt of the verse for you.
Please
and
do.
you are to tell me the name of this song and the artist. Now shawty, she in the club, she dancing for dollars. She got a thing for that Gucci, that Fendi, that Prada. Who is the artist and what song is this?
It's 50 Cent.
Yeah.
Okay.
I say it's 50.
There we go. It's 50.
Mm-hmm.
In the club?
It is not In the Club.
I know.
You're close.
I want to say PIMP.
It is PIMP.
There you go.
Yes.
I don't know what you heard about me.
Ooh.
Bitch can't get a dollar out of me.
Out of me.
All
no
right.
Cadillac, no perm you can't see. Because I'm a
And it's so funny.
PIMP.
And I've listened to that song a million times, but still, it's just like, I'm so bad with names, man.
You got the name right.
I got his name
of
right.
50 Cent.
But
Yeah.
that's the name of the song.
All right, Byron, do you want to go next?
All right.
That was great, Trip. That was really good.
That was good.
Brought me way back.
This man is arguably considered one of the best to ever do it. He's from the state of New York.
Okay.
This album came out in '94 and kind of, put the East Coast on the map. And I'm going to read an excerpt from this man's classic album. From the Beretta, putting all the holes in your sweater. The money getter, motherfuckers know they better. Rolex watches and colorful swatches. I'm digging in pockets. Motherfuckers can't stop it.
I want to say "Give Me the Loot" by Notorious Big. Oh, that was
made it
great.
too easy.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Is that it? Okay.
For sure.
Give me the loot.
I'm a bad.
Oh, that was good. All right, so for mine, I can't read you an excerpt.
Okay.
Because that would ruin it.
Okay.
That would give it away. That would spoil it. That's one of the clues, I guess. Second clue is this artist's name is also the name of a functional piece of clothing worn by specific people. Third, he was the first to do something like this, but a lot of people have tried it since. And just for fun, his name has 2 P's in it.
What? Okay.
All right, you got to say the first clue one more time.
You were saying
I can't tell you the lyrics because it'll give it away. If I read you the lyrics from it, it would give it away because you'd know what was happening.
That's the first clue?
So you said article of clothing, and I immediately thought like Earl's sweatshirt. But I don't think that...
It's not Earl's
It's
sweatshirt.
not bad.
2 Chainz.
No!
Just goes like...
What song would it be?
I don't know.
Ask for a hint, and I'll answer it. Because I feel like I may have made my hints were too cryptic. Ask a yes or no question, and I'll answer it about the song.
So you say he's from New York, right? You said that.
I didn't say that, but he is from New York.
That doesn't help too much, Byron. But I tried. Okay. Polly Prosciutto, Peter Papalova. Let's figure this out.
These are real rappers you're naming.
Of course.
How about this? If I tell you the name of the rapper, it will give away the name of the song because it's his biggest, most popular song. I'm going to edit a lot of this out.
2 P's, man. I'm stuck on that.
Okay, we got to get this. We got to keep giving us hints.
All right, good.
I part of me thinks that if you tell us the name, we might not get it still. What time frame are we thinking? Like what?
This is the early 2000s, the mixtape era.
Early 2000s.
There's no hook. It's just bars straight through.
God.
And I sincerely hope that the people watching are commenting or shouting it out while watching.
Oh, they're probably all screaming it right now.
I picked one that I thought was like going to be a challenge, but not impossible.
You succeeded. You succeeded. Early 2000s.
It's a one-hit wonder.
Here's the last and final fucking clue. He was married / dating Remy Ma.
Papoose.
There he goes. What's the song
Alphabetical
called? Slaughter. Thank
Let's
you.
go.
What's up?
Alphabetical Slaughter. Nah, oh man, he's not a one-hit one. You're gonna get me shot out here.
Dude, name another Papoose song, I dare you.
Law Library, like 1 through 20.
Oh my God, that was a good.
That was good.
That was tough.
Accurate AKs angled all ways.
I have an album for the 2 of you to guess.
Okay, so let's get into name that album.
Hell yeah.
Same
Hell
rules.
yeah. Okay. This 2003 album came out in October 7th. It had the likes of DJ Nasty and LVM, Kanye West, Moby Dick, DJ Paul, and Juicy J, as well as the artist himself, contributing to the production of this album. It was distributed by Disturbin' the Peace and Def Jam South.
Oh.
This album...
Is this Chicken and Beer?
It's Chicken and Beer, damn it.
How'd you get it? How did you get that?
That's one of my favorite fucking Luda albums.
That's great.
Yeah, it's chicken and beer.
And like the actual physical copy of it, there's like grease prints.
Yeah, yeah, dude, I remember
so
that.
dope.
I remember that.
So dope, bro.
What's your album, Byron? 'Cause Eagles knocking us out of the park.
So, this album, it's from a group out of New York. It dropped in '93. It has.
Is it Wu-Tang Enter 36
That was
Chambers?
what I was going to pick. There are 4 members. The album cover has a bunch of different artists' faces on it.
Oh fuck!
Is it Tribe Called Quest?
That's the group.
Is it Midnight Marauders? No.
There
is
you
it?
ding ding
It's
ding.
Midnight
ding.
Marauders?
Really?
Midnight Marauders, yeah.
All right. To wrap up,
Yeah, what
my
you got?
album.
What you got?
It was released in the early 2000s.
Okay.
It was released by an artist that was the head of a collective.
And it was released when?
I would say 2004,
Okay.
but it was recorded in 2001. There's a bunch of funny skits on it. The name of the rapper is just a name, like a person's name, but it's not a full name.
It's just like Seal.
I was gonna say Santana, but he's not the head. Cameron.
But
shit.
what
Purple
album?
Haze.
There it is.
Oh damn! There we go. That was awesome.
That was good. Yeah, that was fun, man.
All right.
Cameron.
Cameron.
It's a great way to end episode 4 of Drum Machine Vibes.
Oh, yeah.
Is there anything you want to plug?
We got the dance party. If you haven't already, check out Carnivora, also through Hellhound Publishing. Going to be hitting DSPs soon. Yeah, anything to wet your whistle, man. Check out Hellhound Publishing and come check out the dance party. It'll be a good time.
Yeah.
Come to the Fody show in March.
Oh, hell yeah, the Fody show.
Yeah, at Fody's on the March 25th. You can check out the 3 of us with Cody Pope. It's going to be a hell of a show. It's free admission. Going to be some special drinks. We're going to have a pop-up shop with a bunch of cool merch. All of our albums and all that good stuff on sale. It's going to be a great time.
We'll have Trip Seat playing Dance Party at the end of the night,
Yeah.
and I'll be debuting my new album, Equinoctial,
Hell
which
yeah.
is another kind of lo-fi album.
It's going to be a cool vibe. It's going to be a good night.
Yeah, I'll be playing some of that scattered throughout my set, and we'll just be curating a cool environment there at Fody's. Thank you everybody for watching and listening. Again, my name is Even Though.
I go by the name of Byron G.
This is Tripseed. Thank you again for having me, fellas. This has been an awesome time.
It's been great, man. Real good time.
Come back
Great
real
episode.
soon now.
Peace out.